I feel like, with all of this buildup, is really just to start working once the brewery opens.
Welcome back to another episode of TapThatAZ, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the Arizona craft beer scene. I'm your host, Eric Walters. In this episode, it's going to be part 2 of the Justin Cross story. So we're following Justin every few months, checking in on him, seeing how his journey into being a brewery owner is coming. So grab a beer and let's check it out. All right, so I'm back again with Justin Cross, and we're going to now get into the meat of what we're doing. Last episode, you guys heard about his brewing history, a little about him, like the heart behind what he's doing. What are we going to talk about today?
Man, I think we're going to get into where I'm actually at in the process
of opening up this brewery.
Yeah, what I've done so far, and what's kind of left to get to that first official beer being sold.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha, because you've made some progress up to this point, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, first of all, you talked about this a little bit in the last in the initial episode that we did. You've done your homework. Like, you not only do you make badass beer, but you know the business side of it. So what resources have you used to give you that art and the science and the business combination?
Sure, a bunch of different things. I think just like anything else, I think the only way to really learn something is through multiple different facets, if you will.
Okay.
I read a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Specifically, I've listened to every single episode of the Business of Beer podcast.
Business of Beer. Okay, you introduced me to that yesterday. Yeah.
Andy Kopic from Tap Hunter, but I believe they stopped it in December because new one stopped loading, so I need to see what's up with that.
Yeah.
But and on there, literally Andy would interview brewers, brewery owners, sales reps, distribution, presidents or whatever.
Yeah.
Beer writers in the industry.
Okay.
So I've basically, and that's just one of them. I listen to a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I've basically just been trying to pull as much information from anybody that I can in the beer industry.
Yeah.
So if it's, technical shit about brewing and about different types of mashing and this and that.
Yeah.
Or if it's trends that the beer industry is going through, and just, what's happening with everything in the beer business. You know what I mean? So, that I took that 8-day course at San Diego State University, which is incredible. I mean, I met some amazing people, Mr. Peacock. I think he's Michael Peacock. He's like the draft system god.
Oh, really?
He taught us everything you need to know for the most part about draft systems, right?
Okay.
So when it's time for mine, you know who's designing my draft system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And when you say draft system, you're talking about from the keg to the tap to...
Yeah, because there's a whole science, between if short draw, long draw, if you're using what kind of pumps, what temperature you're starting with, how you're cooling it until you get to the tap, because all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
Because the worst things you can do to beer is either package it or serve it. You could have a perfect beer sitting in a keg or in a bright tank, like a serving tank.
Yeah.
But if your draft system from that perfect beer out to the glass is garbage, chances are your beer's going to at least be degraded. Might not be complete garbage, but you know what I mean? You're not doing yourself a favor.
Right.
So I got to meet people like him, Derek from Abnormal Beer Company. Grizzly Adams had a beard is his name. He's the front-end manager for all of Green Flash.
Green Flash. That's a big one. That's big time.
Yeah. So, I mean, the people I met there, and I actually met my attorney there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Candace Moon, the craft beer attorney, is in San Diego. She's doing my trademarking. So that was incredible. That gave me a ton of that business end knowledge. Right?
Okay.
But then, the people that really, I think the one thing that really helped me leapfrog about making beer was I'm a huge believer in mentors.
Okay.
So this is one of the first things I did is I went out and I met Dylan at the Bearded Brewer in Quartz Hill.
Okay.
He's got a big old beard. He looks like a wizard, and he is a freaking beer wizard.
Beer wizard.
I used to go in there and try to stump him on shit.
Yeah.
Never could.
Really?
I would look up a yeast, something on the internet, some obscure shit.
Mongolian.
I'd be like, oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I got him. He'd be like, Dylan, have you ever heard of a Mongolian tail yeast, like from the middle of the water buffalo tail, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's 67-A, and it's over here, and I got it." And
Pulls it out of his pocket.
Yeah, I'm like,
oh yeah, I was carrying this
what
around.
the
Yeah.
fuck, So mentors are huge. I think it's for anything, for business, for if you're learning a new trade, for whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So I had him, and then I also had Brian, who's the owner of Lucky Luke Brewing Company, and Brace, who was the brewer at Lucky Luke Brewing Company.
Okay.
Just really awesome dudes. Really just took me under their wing, showed me everything technical about brewing, and also about the business side. Brian hooked me up a lot with that type of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I knew he was a big influence on
so
you. Yeah.
mentors, for sure. I mean, I can't say enough about that, especially when you're learning something new. You can only read and ingest so much knowledge, I believe a mentor is probably the best way to really try to learn something, especially if time isn't on your side.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and that's interesting too. That's one of the great things. So when I started this podcast, it was about Arizona craft beverages, right? Because I did coffee, I did wine. I wanted to keep it open.
Right.
But as I've done this over the last 8-9 months, craft beer. That's my niche.
Kind of
and
zeroing in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because of the people. It's the community. It's like everybody is willing. It's not like, screw this guy, I'm not going to tell him what to do. He's my competition. It's like, no, we're all in this together. Right. So this is a great community to be able to get that.
It really is. And the beer community especially is kind of unlike anything else. I mean, this is one industry, like you could literally, like these guys, everyone else is in the beer family, but they really are competitors. It's a business, right?
Yeah.
But what other industry can you call up your, quote, competitor and say, hey, man, I just ran out of this hop. Do you have any hops or this yeast? Can you hook me up?
Right.
And get hooked up like above and beyond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens all the time, and like literally that'd be like Home Depot calling Lowe's and be like, dude, we're out of this stuff. Can you loan it? Can we get it?
We ran out of bolts.
They'd
Can
be
you
like,
bring us some bolts?
Are you crazy? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Send us that customer.
Right.
But this industry isn't like that.
Right.
At least for the most part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You get them here and there, but it's few and far between.
It's amazing, and I've seen it firsthand many times and heard about it, secondhand many times, and it's awesome. It's a great industry.
Yeah, it really is. So you've got the resources. You're going in. The business side of it, but even just as importantly, you've been brewing beer and you make some pretty badass beer. So what are some of the you've got a couple of flagships, right?
Yeah.
That you do. What are those?
So I got a couple of flagships. One is the pale ale that I mentioned.
Yeah.
That one, super proud of that one. I think it's just very easy to drink, but I think it just explodes with Citron Centennial dry hopping.
Okay.
That's my favorite dry hopping combination. I love that beer. So the pale ale for sure. And then one that I really am actually probably going to try to market the absolute most, believe it or not, is my blonde ale that I make for my wife.
Okay.
So she is, she's not like a gluten, like she doesn't have a gluten problem.
Okay.
But she's kind of sensitive to wheat, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I set out to make that beer for her, right? So I made a really simple grain bill, just one hop, really easy to make, but that beer comes out more drinkable than any beer I've ever had.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I think a lot of brewers, like when they decide they're going to make a blonde, I think they kind of get a little maybe too excited about it, and they go, well, I can't make it too simple. I need to add a little bit of this or a little bit of that, give it a little bit more, right? But then it never really comes out, in my opinion, like just fire amazing.
Right.
This one I've experimented with a crap load of different blondes, but this one that I'm sticking with, like our blonde, is so simple and so drinkable that I think there's a chance no one else would make it because they're going to try to make it too complicated.
So your simplicity of the blonde, you think, is going to be what sets you apart?
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the type of beer that you could literally pour like one of those big fucking what do you call it? Oktoberfest beers, like from
the big mugs with the dimples in them.
Yeah. What's that damn place called? It's
Oktoberfest.
But the restaurant, Hofbrauhaus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've got one of those. I mean, you could literally just fill that thing up, and at the very end, like the IBUs, everything is so easy to drink. You don't really. I mean, it's easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So pale ale, the blonde, And then another flagship for sure is my blueberry lemongrass.
That's the one I'm pretty interested in to try.
And that's the one that I tried to send the wife into timeout for because she drank it when I was in St. Louis.
You were gonna bring me some. You were because I laughed. You texted me like, "Oh, dude," and you posted an Instagram story.
Yep.
And I texted you and I said, "Ha ha ha," but then I'm like, "Oh wait, actually, I think he's kind of pissed."
You're like, "Wait a minute, I understand." Yeah. No, so that beer, I've kind of refined that one right where I want it. That's a different blonde recipe. So a lot of blueberry beers, people seem, in my opinion, from what I've seen, at least try to add a little bit, have a little stronger flavor to it. So I started with a blonde, right?
Yeah.
But a different blonde than the one we just talked about.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the boil, I throw in some lemongrass.
Okay.
And then I let it ferment all the way out, and then I just rest it on blueberries.
Yeah.
And then I keg it.
Okay.
So I've experimented with puree and different kinds of blueberries, and I've got it. I know what kind I want to use, and I've got it right where I want it. So, but that one I'll probably never make money on that one because it's just going to take so much, blueberry, and that one's going to be.
But that can be a good segue beer for people, right? To draw people in.
Yeah, I mean,
a blonde.
Blonde is, and then the blueberry one, like. Even if I don't make money on it, I want as many people to try that as possible, just to know what kind of beer I can make.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
and that's one thing you and I have connected on too. I shared a quote from Gary Vaynerchuk. Basically, was like, do things to draw people to your funeral, not fill your bank account, right? And you and I have the same approach to what we're doing.
Right.
Is we want that organic growth. We want people coming to your brewery because they like your beer, not you're tricking in to coming just to try some crappy beer, mug them in the alley, and they never come back.
Right.
No, you want that. There's that commitment and that loyalty to the craft that you're making. Yeah.
So I want to have my business model set up to where I can, have enough profit in some areas to where I can take a huge hit on this blueberry beer and still get it out to people, because I just think it's one of those beers that it's just so good. I want people to have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like a lot of people use extract or purees and all this other type of stuff. But just at least from my experiments, I can't make that beer as good unless I use these certain kind of whole blueberries.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's interesting because you could cut costs, but you're like, no, it's quality.
I mean, I've tried to use other cheaper methods, and it just never comes out right. And I'm like, I wouldn't serve that. Like that's not. Especially what I know I can make with this product.
Yeah.
I've, tried to substitute for cheaper stuff, and it just, I'm not getting there. So.
Yeah. Well, good for you, man, because it's about the quality.
Appreciate it. And then I've got a honey brown and an IPA, about 2 IPAs, that are going to be like my flagship. So I haven't worked too much on like darker beers yet.
Yeah.
I'd love them. I really like some good barrel aged stuff.
Okay.
But I want to come out of the gate with just some absolutely crushable lighter beers, especially because we live in,
the desert,
tropical hell.
We do. We really do.
Like there's some beautiful scenery and trees and flowers and stuff here, but it's hot as shit.
It's hot.
And people are at the lake all the time. They're at the pool all the time.
Yeah.
So that's I want to hit the ground with those first.
Yeah. People aren't sitting beside the pool drinking barley wine, right?
No. No. There's definitely a spot for barley wine, but I mean, I think there's more of a spot for crushable type beers,
right?
Which is why beers like Coors and Bud are still such big sellers because people can take a 30-pack to the lake, drink half of it, and still get home at dinner time and be all right.
Right.
You're not doing that with a 12% barley wine, you're not taking a chocolate imperial stout to the pool.
No,
you're just not doing that.
No, you're not.
Don't get me wrong, I love those beers and I'll have them, but my focus has been on these other ones.
That's good, and that's what I prefer too. I mean, honestly, I like all kinds of beers. Still sours, I'm still about 20% in on sours.
Oh man, I'll get you some good sours.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Beechwood Blendery. Oh shit! I actually just got a new connection for Monkish and LA type stuff.
Yeah.
So
nice,
we'll hook that up for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit further ahead than just the beers, though, right? Like where are you at with the brewery?
Yeah, so the business side is it's probably just as, if not more complicated than actually making the damn beer.
Yeah,
right.
right.
So when I moved out here, I had a business partner that I was working with. we're still friends, but we're not working together on the brewery anymore.
Okay.
Long story short, he started another business, wasn't able to commit to this one anymore. So, we just had to, all right, I'm going to do my own thing. So, so I had to come up with a new concept and all this and that. So the wife and I were out one night having a steak dinner in downtown Phoenix at Durant's. Have you been there for steak?
I've not. My wife, for the
oh
last 9 years, she's like, you got to go to Durant's. I don't know why I haven't been there.
Yeah.
It's like a staple.
It's a staple.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably made in like the mid 50s or something, maybe late 50s.
Yeah.
They redid it recently, but when they redid it, they didn't change anything. They just put new carpet, new tables, new wallpaper, but it's all the same pattern, same
Kept that
colors.
style. Nice.
Dude, it's so cool.
Like Rat Pack style, kind of, right?
Well, this is like, it's like from the same era, but this is like where the mob boss would go. So it's like real nice, kind of like that floral gothic pattern of red and stuff. It's a lot of red and wood, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
It's super cool. But anyways, we were sitting there, and now that we didn't have this last name that my other partner had come up with, we were like, all right, what are we gonna do? We just went through all these different ideas of concepts and everything, and I was in the Navy, right? That's why I left Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So we started to kind of think like towards a nautical theme a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, yeah.
Not all.
One toe.
You know what I mean?
One toe.
We're not going to be dressing up as pirates or anything,
Right.
But we ended up settling on a name that I have submitted to the trademark office, and I'm excited to tell you for the first time on this podcast.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better spot to put it out.
Heck yeah.
But it's Ironside Brewing Company.
Ironside.
Nice. One word, Ironside.
Yeah.
And so if people don't know what that is, the USS Constitution is the oldest commissioned ship in the United States Navy fleet right now. It's an old wooden ship. I believe it's in Virginia.
Okay.
And it is the only active duty ship to have sunk an enemy ship.
Really?
Yeah.
It's still active.
And it's still active.
Wow.
So it's technically like a museum. Nice. And you can get a special duty if you're in the Navy to go on there. But I mean, it's like, you have like perfect uniform every day. Like you're basically maintaining this historical thing, right?
Right.
But that ship's nickname was Old Ironsides.
Yeah.
So even though it's a wooden ship, it got that name because it was like freaking unsinkable.
Yeah.
Like when it was floating around fighting pirates and British, I don't know, whoever else it was fighting. You know what I mean?
Was in the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever else is out there,
Yeah.
So we went with not Old Ironsides, but just Ironside.
Ironside, yeah.
Yeah. So I've submitted that, and right now there's an Ironside wine label that's owned by like a big wine company.
Okay.
That the trademark office was pushing back on, but my attorney has written back to them, and we think we're going to get it.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
I like that name, and I like there's a story behind it.
Yeah,
too.
so I kind of like Ironside for a couple different reasons. One, because of the ship and the Navy.
Yep.
The other one is because of like iron, like pumping iron. Like
Right.
I'm big into fitness, and I love lifting weights. Pumping Iron was one of my favorite movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day. Like, just,
I don't remember that one.
Oh, dude, it's a documentary of him like winning his last
really?
Mr. Olympia. It's
That
amazing.
dude was amazing.
That's
Like,
awesome.
People look at him like, because he's got the accent, I'll be back, kind of things.
Sure.
That dude was brilliant.
Oh,
He's
dude,
a brilliant
I mean,
guy. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So there's that. And for me, I just like to kind of think of myself as like being able to like take some shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just. No, I don't mean alcohol, but just
It's like what they got shots here.
Yeah.
Let's do them. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like just like that ship, got the nickname for Old Ironsides because it was unsinkable.
Relentless.
That is like my mindset, and I like how you said relentless because Tim Grover, I just heard him speak in St. Louis. He's Michael Jordan's trainer. He's a phenomenal public speaker.
Yeah.
He has a book called Relentless.
But yes. Yeah.
I'm about halfway through it right now on audiobook in my car.
Okay.
But that's kind of my mindset.
Yeah.
As I go through this, there's a new obstacle at every turn.
Yep.
But I just keep that Ironside mentality where,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the next obstacle is going to be,
Right.
but I'm trying to anticipate it. I'm trying
Right.
to expect it. I'm gonna make it glance off of me like that old ship.
Yeah. Hell
So-
yeah, man. And that's awesome because you got to expect it, right? When you don't expect the challenge and then the challenge comes, it's like, oh man, no, what do I do now? But if you're
Right.
like Ironside, man, things are coming.
Yeah.
Things are coming.
Yeah.
I need to be prepared. And
That's right.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so I try to look for things that are going to be issues, but also just know I might have no idea what the next issue is, but I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way around it, through it, whatever it is, over it.
Yeah.
So,
Through it, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
KO, left,
Right?
right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Logo too, right? You got a logo set up?
I do have a logo.
Show me the logo, and I
Yeah.
love the logo, man.
So I got it here on my screensaver of my phone. But so even before I moved here, one of the companies I've always been kind of fascinated with is a Goldwater Brewing Company in Old Town Scottsdale.
Yes, yeah.
I just think the name, the concept, the logo, everything they did is just killer, right?
Yeah.
They're on Goldwater Boulevard. Beer is essentially Goldwater.
Yeah, good
I mean,
point.
Barry Goldwater was a senator here, very famous.
Yep.
Like and then their logos, everything was great, right?
Yep.
So I started watching them really closely, and I've actually become friends with one of the partners of that, which is Dylan.
Yep.
And Dylan owns Dylan James Designs.
Okay.
He's like a super good. Super good. That sounds kind of lame, but very,
We
very
understand what you mean.
talented, professional logo designer.
Okay.
Like he's done a Dirks Bentley Whiskey Row. He's done, I think. Like
really?
Yeah.
Wow,
He's done like a hospital. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of the Fit Choice Foods. A lot of the stuff you see around here, he's done.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So I actually reached out to him, and he was. After working with another designer, he was really kind enough to go ahead and take on my project.
Okay. Nice.
He wasn't really into it at first, just because he was worried about a competitor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Try that one. Sorry, I'm just ordering a beer.
We both ordered the same one too.
Oh, nice.
Our man Carl here is coming over, silent server, and saying, "What do you want?"
These guys are so nice.
We just pointed at our beers, both of them, the Imperial Amber.
Carl
here.
and Fred. I really like
these
those
guys are awesome.
They're
Yeah,
awesome.
it was a great episode too. So you guys have probably already listened. Actually, at this point, people haven't heard it. So
Nice.
Stay tuned for the Mesquite River
Perfect.
episode. Yeah.
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 So
Dylan's-
Dylan finally decided he would take on my logo design here.
Yeah.
Right? And what we came up with is what we're looking at here. Someday it's going to be out there for everyone to see.
Right.
But
Right.
now it's
That
going to stay on my
anticipation,
phone.
yeah. Right now it's an audio description of
Right.
the-
But if you
Yeah.
can imagine a Phoenix, because I live in downtown Phoenix.
Yep.
I'm hoping that my brewery is going to be in downtown Phoenix. Thank you, buddy. We just got an Imperial
Thanks, Rob.
Amber. Awesome. So I have a Phoenix here. We made the wings out of barley. Instead of fire at the bottom of the Phoenix, we stuck an anchor
Yes.
to throw back to my Navy days and kind of go along with Ironside. And we just kind of gave it like this, this design that I think is kind of rustic, but it's strong. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
right.
It's not like you would draw. I don't know how to say it.
It's simple. Like, so what I like about it is it's like one of those things where sometimes people get too complicated with like their logo.
Yeah.
Right. You got the Nike swoosh, which is just a check mark,
right.
basically. Right. It's a lazy check mark is the way I describe it.
Right.
But something like this is there's so much in it, but just looking at it, you're just like, that's awesome.
But it's not overbearing.
Yeah, it's not. But the more what I like about it is the complexity of it, because you got the anchor, you've got the barley, you've got the Phoenix, so many things into it, but it's simple too.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's why I was super stoked to work with Dylan, because I've been looking at his stuff and I'm like, dude, if there's anyone that I want to make my logo, it's this freaking guy.
Right. Yeah.
And when he finally agreed to take me on, I was just, oh my god.
Yeah.
And so that process was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like just going through like from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. This is probably step number 9 or 10 of the design process, which is normal, because we're going back and forth all the time. He's trying something out. I'm saying, yes or no, and he's like, you know what, nah. He's going to say no a few times, and he'll change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we finally ended on this, and we sent it to my attorney, and they're like, you know what? We have an issue with this and this. We don't think this will work. So we tweaked it, and then at the very end, we were like, that's actually better. You know what I mean? And that was such a great process to go through from day one, because it's not, you're not just buying a symbol or just like, I'm just going to like stamp my name out or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Go to
Going
some
through
website
this-
that has some like printed stuff already. I'll go with that one.
Right.
It's like,
going through this like logo specifically experience, like after the name, was very cool for me. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that goes back to that mentality you said you had, like no matter what comes at me, because people could be like, no, this is what I want, And if this is
Right.
not what I get, then I'm going to go cry in the corner, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, and
It's easy to do
there's
that.
still a chance that I'm not going to get Ironside or that this will be rejected. Even though I think I have one of the best craft beer attorneys in the country in San Diego. They think they're like pretty confident we're going to get it. I still have to be prepared. We might not.
There's no guarantee.
And all of this, and now, this podcast comes out. If the day after this podcast releases, I get the bad news,
Right.
I'm not going to go cry about it.
Right.
I'll be pissed.
Yeah,
Like, don't
hell
get me
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the gym,
Right.
and I'm going to take some aggression out.
Yeah.
Probably go go hit the heavy bag for a while.
Yeah.
But we'll just have to figure it out.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's a mentality you got to have. And through that, you're going to be successful for sure. So I'm excited to join you on this journey. Like, you guys listening, this is going to be a pretty awesome journey because my goal is to get from this, of the idea, to we got a logo, most likely. We've got a name, most likely.
Right.
But we're going to get to opening day. And that's then you can quit, right? Then you can just walk out of the brewery on day one and you're done. Right? Into the
I don't
sunset.
think so.
Awesome, man.
I feel like, with all of this buildup, all of this buildup is really just to start working once the brewery opens.
Yeah, right?
You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
good point. Yeah, that is a
Like,
good point.
If it's like 3 or 4 years at the time, yeah, we're finally open. Okay, let's start now.
Right. Yeah,
Like-
that's a good point.
Like,
yeah.
I really, you brought up Gary earlier. Gary and Andy, the MF CEO. I mean, those guys, I listened to a lot of their stuff like 2 and 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
Like their podcast. Because
Right.
I really want to try to understand what they're getting. Because those guys are so fucking smart. Like, you
They
can't
are.
just hear it one time and just be like, okay, I got it.
Right.
There's sometimes the third time I'll listen to a podcast and I'll be like, then it will really click.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
maybe I was distracted by the dog or something the first time. But,
Yeah.
But anyways, both of those guys talk about really legacy
Uh-huh.
and playing the long game.
Right.
So, that's what I'm doing. This is a lifetime thing for me.
Yeah.
This isn't just I need to have this done by 2017 and then I'm going to quit
Right.
and move on to something else. No, this is something I'm trying to lay the groundwork for something to hopefully have in place, 2 generations after me.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's awesome, man. And I know Andy always says too, like he gets so annoyed at people who said, "Okay, I've made it." Like, no, you haven't.
No, there's
Like,
never
that's-
a made it.
No, you've never made. If you have that mentality of "I've made it,"
Yeah.
you haven't made it.
Right.
You just it's that, and that's why one of the biggest things I've taken from that podcast is from Ben Newman. Of attacking the process, and Andy always says you got to love the process.
Right.
Right. You can't be about like I hate this just to get to this. You got to love the process itself. You got to love those ups and downs. You got to love the battles.
really
and
do.
Things like that. Yeah. And from what I've learned from this podcast, breweries, you're going to deal with that.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with that, like name, logo, landlords.
Right.
Like, no matter what it is, it's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said in the last podcast we did, the wife, she's been so supportive. You got to have a group of people around you, whether it's a mentor
Yeah.
or if you're married or if you have kids, they have to be in a place where they can, allow you to do what you got to do.
Right.
And that can be very difficult sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You got to have that support. You do.
That's, So it's a long game.
Yeah. Yep.
Me and the wife have a vision of what we want to do. In the future, I don't know if I'm going to be 40 or 50 or 60
Right.
or 106 before I get there.
Right.
But
You're getting there, though.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
man.
All right, thanks, dude. Hey, you guys follow Justin at the Alpha Male?
Yep, the Alpha Ale.
The Alpha Ale on Instagram.
Yep.
And stay tuned because we're going to keep bringing these updates as we get them. Dude, thanks for joining me,
Awesome,
man.
buddy.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks for listening to another episode. As always, share it with a friend if you think somebody will like the show. Let's spread the word. Let's get Arizona beer on the map. And give me a review, rating on iTunes if you're feeling up to it. But always remember, stay awesome.